Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, October 23rd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down, analyze a big Thursday card. A little earlier than usual today. We have an appointment to leave in about an hour from now. If I'm going to get there on time, I've got to leave in about an hour. So we're going to rip through it, get the track shoes on. This will be a quick show. I'm only going to say something very brief about last night, and that credit to Colton Ellis. Shout out to him for his big win for Buffalo in his NHL debut. I thought he played very well. Credit to him. Nice performance for him against Detroit last night. Minnesota, you suck. Thanks for nothing. Terrible performance. Losing to New Jersey, even in a good spot for them last night. Devils red hot. Run continues. And then, of course, we saw Montreal-Calgary last night. Montreal finds a way, and I stuck with Montreal, best bet winner. And it was more so that I just didn't trust Calgary to score the goals and get their offense going. And sure enough, Dobish was great. I thought Wolf was great, but he can't score goals for Calgary. And they end up losing. What a beautiful winner, too. Demidov setting up Matheson for the game winner in overtime, and a nice 2-1 win there for Montreal last night. So best bet winner. Another bargain bin winner for yours truly with last night with Emmett Finney for Detroit at plus 410. Back-to-back nights with a bargain bin. So we're heating up, baby, after the slow start. Alex, anything from last night you want to mention?
Yeah, good stuff. And like you said, those kind of games are why Dustin Wolf's so valuable to Calgary. Yes, they lost, but to get to overtime, he made some big-time saves to get his team back in that game and then get the goal late in the third period. He's going to keep them afloat more times than not. And like I said, there's opportunities live to back Calgary at times when he's rolling hot, and maybe that you see that team start to get some life after he makes a few saves. That's the way to look for Calgary right now. Of course, we took the shot with them, hopefully to get the goal in the first period. What about Zach Bolduc? 3 times now in his career where he has the first goal against Calgary, something I certainly will have noted the next time those two teams play. It's just funny how that happens sometimes. But
you'd have to see it to believe it. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's uncanny.
Yeah. 2 different teams in 3 different times. So, there's some guys who, we always say that, we look for that in bargain bin. Sometimes a guy feels it against a certain team, a certain goalie, or here's a guy who feels it against a certain team and to start off the game as well. So those are the notes you definitely want to make and look for in the future.
All right, on we go to Thursday, a big card. Looking forward to it. And we will begin with the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. We've got Tampa Bay minus 320, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. It kind of feels like, and I just did the show with Jimmy the Bag, he really likes Tampa in this spot. I don't agree. I get it. They're off. They've been off for a bunch of days. They've had to stew on this little skid that they've been on, including the most recent loss to Columbus. They're going to have Nikita Kucherov back, and trust me, he's a difference maker because this team hasn't been firing on all cylinders offensively this season. But Chicago's been just getting better and better each game. They've actually played Tampa Bay very tough. They've won 2 in a row in Tampa, in Amalie Arena against this team. Spencer Knight and net's been great. Vasilevsky has been so-so. Let's be honest. He's been so-so, to begin this season. And then this is the clincher for me, and I don't do many puck lines. Tampa Bay has not won a game by more than... They've had 1 win this season. It was by 1 goal against Boston, and Boston's not that great. Chicago has not lost a game by more than 1 goal this year. They've either won or every loss has been just a 1-goal margin of defeat for the Chicago Blackhawks. So I'm on Chicago plus 1.5. Not a bet I make usually, but I am making it tonight. I think it's worth it. Given these trends, given the Chicago's been right in every game. So I'm on Chicago plus 1.5, plus 105. Dabble on the money line small, but primarily on the puck line, plus 1.5, plus 105 here on the Hawks. Alex, Blackhawks, Lightning.
Yeah, it's funny. When this opened yesterday, shout out to Terry Edelman. He messaged me. He goes, "What's with this line? Why is Tampa Bay favored so highly? And at first I'm like, maybe the bookmakers thought that this was a Tampa and then swinging to Florida and that this would be a Soderblom start. But I'm like, even then, that still wouldn't warrant. Where we're seeing now plus 280 on the Hawks. So I grabbed plus 250 yesterday with Hawks money line. I grabbed the plus 1.5 at plus 105. You can still get plus money at many books. Getting the puck and a half. Like I said, the Hawks have been involved in every game. They haven't lost by margin. Tampa hasn't won by margin. And Tampa sucks. Let's just call it like it is. Tampa is not that good right now. Like this is problematic. This isn't just it's a blip in the road and it's a slow start. Like I said, I didn't like their form for most of the parts of last year. And now you start off like this, especially when you know you have Florida and other teams a little bit weaker in your division, and you have this is the time, an opportunity to spring forward. Even with Kucherov, they still should have been playing better hockey. I just think this is maybe not that good of a hockey team now. So give me the Hawks here, puck line and money line, and my bargain bin coming for this game.
All right, there you go. A little tease for later. The bargain bin coming from this game for Alex with the Blackhawks and the Lightning. Good stuff. All right, next up, we've got Philadelphia, Ottawa. Ottawa minus 150 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. By the way, as far as props go for me, I'm going back to the well with Mr. Nazar. What? Not a shock, by the way, with that Blackhawks game. This one, Flyers and Senators. This is like the Chicago-Tampa Bay game where, Ottawa's playing poorly, and they're not going to lose every game moving forward, every game remaining, but you really want to lay minus 150 with Ottawa? Personally, I don't. They're not playing great. They've obviously missing Brady Tkachuk more than we thought. The offense has been up and down. More importantly, the defense hasn't been great. The penalty kill hasn't been great. The goaltending hasn't been great. Linus Ullmark continues to struggle through the early part of this season. And then Philadelphia is coming in here, a very good homestand. They beat some good teams. Rick Tocchet's got them playing hard, playing well away from the puck. The work ethic's been there. The defensive team structure's been there. The penalty kill's been good. The goaltending's been good. Dan Vladar is going to start in net tonight for Philly. Live dog, in my opinion. The form does not match where this price is for both of these teams right now. So my one concern, and I said this earlier with Jimmy on his show, Philadelphia, 1-10, I believe, in their last 11 road games dating back to last year. So that's the one concern I do have. I mean, we're backing a team on the road that hasn't had a great deal of road success going back to last year. But Philadelphia did win in Ottawa, one of their trips to Ottawa against the Senators last year. And Ottawa, just to me, is in form that does not make me that does not appeal to me at this kind of a price, minus 150. So I'm on Philly here, plus 130. Alex, Flyers, Senators.
Small piece on Philly money line plus 130. Larger parlay on Philly with over 4.5, and I'll be waiting for over 5.5 in game.
All right, there we go. Pinto, I do like Pinto to score a goal, even though I like Philly in this game, of course. Doesn't mean you can't bet props on the other side. So Shane Pinto, as far as a goal prop for the Ottawa Senators in this game. As far as the Philadelphia Flyers are concerned, it's been impressive with Philadelphia, at least in the early part of the season, is that, it's been different guys every night. It hasn't been the same players every single time that have been coming through for this hockey team, which is good. It's really what you want to see as far as that's concerned. And, Brink stepped up on times, Forster. There's been a bunch of different members of this Flyers team that have made, offensive impacts, that have made a difference, at that end of the ice here early in the season. And, going into this game tonight, Owen Tippett scored in 3 straight games. Noah Cates has scored in 2 straight games for Philadelphia. So I think those 2 guys in particular are worth a shot here as far as props. Red Wings Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total. You know what I'm betting here. Islanders, we've talked about it all season. It's been a nice theme for me. It's been a cash cow for me. Overs in Islanders games, 6-0 to the over this season. Every Islander game, 6+ goals. 4 of the 6 Islander games, 7 goals or more. Now, here's the one caveat to all this. Detroit's been an under machine lately, and Todd McClellan's got them playing good defense. And Talbot and the guy that started, Gibson. Geez, I blanked on the name. Talbot and Gibson. They played solid in net. And Gibson, after a tough first game, has played a little bit better. Talbot's played well lately, and we're probably going to see Talbot here, yes, on the back-to-back after it was Gibson last night. The Islanders, we've talked about all season. They're moving the puck better from their own zone. Their offense is certainly improved. They're scoring more goals, but they're giving up way more goals. And outside of Matthew Schaefer's already the best defenseman they have. Pellick and Pollock aren't the same defenseman. Mayfield's not a speed skater, if you will, on the back end, and you can beat him, as far as speed and taking it to him. It's just a lot of pylons right now, quite honestly, on this Islander blue line. And like I said, that's been an issue for them early in the season. So it's been an uptick in offense, a downgrade in defense, and the perfect recipe for a team that's historically been a good under team suddenly becoming a good over team. So, yes, I'm on over 6 here. Smaller bet on the first period over, but more so on the full game here with the over 6 between the Red Wings and the Islanders. Nothing on the side. Maybe a draw. I lean that way. It is the Islanders after all. I could maybe see this game going to overtime, but for me, it's just going to be the over by Fecta, gravitating more to the full game over with that. Alex, what do you think here? Red Wings, Islanders.
Plus 330. I'd maybe sprinkle the draw, but what I like more, and that would probably be the only thing I'd look for pregame. In game, I like the over by Fecta. I want to get a 6, try and get that down to a 5.5, laying $1.25 if possible, and try to get plus money with that over 1.5. So yeah, those would be my 2 plays. Those are certainly my 2 plays that I'll have on Patreon for live, but I'll update and kind of teeter him about and see what I'm going to do with that draw.
So I've cashed back-to-back nights with bargain bin special winners. A couple nights ago, it was Emil Heineman, New York Islanders. Last night, it was Emmett Finney, Detroit Red Wings. They're both playing tonight head-to-head in this game. So what the hell do you think I'm doing? I'm betting them to score again. Emmett Finney, Emil Heineman. The value is still good with both of them over plus 400 to find the back of the net tonight. I like
Point parlay?
Absolutely. If to be a little safer. Absolutely. Emmett Finney's still on that top line with Larkin. We've talked about this for several games now, and that was a nice goal going to the net. He scored last night against Buffalo. And then, of course, we've talked about Heineman getting that chance on the power play now and up on the second line right now for the New York Islanders.
And that's something to think about too. If you're betting, whether it's our bargain bins or you have your own goal scorer props, but if you're seeing guys, they're coming through where maybe they got 2 assists, a night where you had a goal, or you missed a night where they scored and you didn't have a bet on them. Start tying those people together, keeping notes, and then you make point parlays. I think that's the way to kind of attack that market.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's not just, you don't just have to bet straight single standalone goal props with these players. You could definitely get
2 or 3 players and knock prices down.
No question. I think it's not a bad way to go about it. No doubt. So should be interesting to see how that one goes. All right, Pittsburgh, Florida. We've got the Florida Panthers minus 200 home favorites. The total here sitting at 6 across the board. Bit of an exhale and sigh of relief from Florida. That was a pretty rough road trip, losing games consecutively, but then they rescued themselves with a win against Boston to end that road trip in an emotional night. It was, I'm sure, for Brad Marchand, the former Bruin, going back to Boston. That was a great tribute they did. It really was. That was really, really awesome. And you saw him get choked up, and they were showing his family there and all the big goals he scored in the black and gold and that big B on the chest with that Bruin logo. So no wonder he got a little, emotional and teary-eyed in that game. That being said, the boo-boo face that was captured on social media, that's the next big meme. There's no question about it with Brad Marchand there. That's the next crying meme that's going to hit it big now across social media, no doubt about it. I think Florida has a chance to build on that tonight, but I don't want to lay this price minus 200. Pittsburgh, look, they've certainly exceeded early season expectations. They have done this before where we all think Pittsburgh's going to be just a piece of garbage coming into the year, and then early in the season they exceed expectations. They're 5-2. To begin the year. A win against Vancouver, their 3rd win in a row after beating San Jose and LA to end the road trip out west. Their only losses were to the Ducks and the Rangers. Dan Muse has this team competing every night. It's not always pretty, but it's been effective so far. But now they're taking a bit of a step up here against Florida. And if you're Florida, I know you had lost 4 in a row, snapped the losing streak with the win against the Bruins, but you want to build momentum, I would think, if you're Paul Maurice's team. You don't want to win that game against Boston, come back home and not get the job done here. I think there's going to be some really a dialed-in approach here to look at getting some traction going. Realizing that, hey, I know we don't have Barkov Kachuk, Kulikov. We've had some injuries, but it's time to rev this thing up. So I lean Florida. I might dabble in a team total over 3.5. I probably will. Small bet. Florida Panthers over 3.5 even money. Tristan Jarry is going to be in net for Pittsburgh. Obviously, Sergei Bobrovsky for Florida, but Jarry in net. I don't think he's been nearly as good as Shilov's early in the year. Although, and I know he's coming off his best game by far, Tristan Jarry. 31 save shutout on the weekend against San Jose. But, do I trust him to keep that going? No. This is often a Tristan Jarry where when he's off that kind of a great start like he had against San Jose, you want to fade him the next time out. You don't trust Tristan Jarry to be able to get the job done like that 2 games in a row. So I'm going to dabble in Florida team total over 3.5 here around even money in this game tonight. All right, Alex will be back in a moment. In the meantime, we will continue along. We've got San Jose Sharks, New York Rangers. New York Rangers minus 280 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I don't trust the Sharks to win this game. They're still winless. They're still searching for that first win. But there's no chance in hell at minus 280. I'm interested in the blue shirts, the New York Rangers, with their lack of ability to score goals. Yay, we finally scored a goal the other night on home ice against Minnesota. Well, big freaking deal. You still lost the game 3-1 to the Minnesota Wild. So what are you going to do? A parade that you finally scored a goal on home ice? But like I said, offensive woes, offensive struggles are continuing right now for the Rangers. What I saw from San Jose, though, Alex, against the Islanders is I saw them coming out flying against the New York Islanders. Desperate to get that first win. And I know they let it slip, and they've got defensive issues. They've got injuries back there. Mark Medulin, Lil Jagrin. We've talked about all the injuries on the blue line for the Sharks, and they can't overcome it. The goaltending's not good enough to bail them out consistently. Yeah, Askarov or Nedeljkovic, and it'll be Nedeljkovic in net tonight. But what I did see in the first 20 minutes from San Jose Sharks was urgency and real desperation to try to get this first win of the season. And sure enough, what do we see? Not 1, but 2 goals in the opening period from the San Jose Sharks. I'm taking San Jose to score in the first period tonight. Minus 114. It's a very cheap price. I don't trust them to win the game because they've found ways to lose. But I saw enough against the Islanders and that effort in the first 20 minutes, the urgency to get off the schneid. If they bring that here against the Rangers, I could see them getting on the board in the first 20 minutes of this game, even against the mighty Igor Shesterkin. So San Jose goal first period, minus 114. That's my one bet here. Alex, what do you think? Sharks, Rangers.
Yeah, I like goals early. So I'm looking at that first period over 1.5, minus 135. So anything higher than that, you can obviously wait in game, minute or 2 in. I like both teams to score in the first period, plus 164. Now you're looking at Sharks to get a goal in the first. You can get first goal at first period, plus 180 at BetMGM. So I might take a little stab with that. So, yeah, definitely liking goals early. Like I said, Rangers definitely need to get their pace and momentum going early, of course, on offense. And the Sharks might be the team to do that against. Like you said, San Jose giving some good effort early in games as well. So this should be a fun one early.
Yeah, it should be, no doubt. Like I said, the Sharks, they came to play early. Unfortunately, once the Islanders started to go bang, bang, bang with the goals there toward the end of the first period, and then they got the 3-2 lead before the end of the first period, that really took the wind out of the sails. San Jose came out of that period thinking, we got the lead. We were coming out flying, great energy, and we're down 3-2 after the first period. You must be kidding me. And it really impacted them. That really took the wind out of their sails, that giving up that 3-2 goal late in the first period against the Islanders the other night. But I do like them to get on the board here in the opening 20 minutes. And like I said, it's a great price. It's only minus 114 for San Jose goal in the first period, which I think, like I said, definitely is worth a look here in this game tonight. All right, next up here as we continue along, we've got was there a prop? No, there was no prop. It's not a huge prop game for me there, other than maybe Jeff Skinner. We've talked about Jeff Skinner. Talked about how he's gone up the lineup for the Sharks of late. Maybe look in his direction here tonight. All right, Anaheim and Boston. We've got Boston minus 115, slight home favorites in this game. The total sitting at, it was 6, and it's gone up to 6.5 in most spots, and there's a pretty easy to identify reason for that. The goaltending matchup. That's the reason for it. You've got Peter Mrazek and his old, the taped up groin and lower body and lower extremities, which he's been battling with for years, in net for Anaheim. And he is 1-0 did win his only start previously this season for the Ducks, but it was the San Jose game where they won 7-6. He still gave up 6 goals, but Anaheim scored 7. So what do we get from Mrazek? We'll see at this stage of his career. He's certainly going to have to play better than he did that night. But on the other side, we've got another dubious goaltender in net. Jonas Korpisalo getting the start tonight for the Boston Bruins. He hasn't started the season all that well for the Boston Bruins. So there's questionable goaltending both sides, which means to me it's a wash. I don't trust either guy, but I like Anaheim's offense more. I like the spot more for Anaheim. I like the price for Anaheim. And I think this spot is a tough one for Boston, and I'll explain why. That was an emotional night. You got your old Bruin, Brad Marchand, your former captain, coming into the building, making his return. You battled your guts out. You fell behind early against Florida, but you tied it up in the third. And then to lose the game in the final minute in such cruel and bizarre fashion with that crazy ricochet puck that ended up going past Swayman, and you lose the game to Florida in that fashion, and don't you think you're at least going to get a point going to overtime, and then you lose the game in the final minute on a goal like that? That sucks. And that's a tough loss to maybe get over. I could see maybe a mini little hangover spot this being for the Boston Bruins coming off that real tough loss to the Florida Panthers the other night. That's a gut-wrenching way to lose that game on a goal like that in the final minute. Not to mention Anaheim's owned this team recently. 3 straight head-to-head wins for the Ducks over the Bruins, including each of their last 2 trips to TD Garden against Boston. Anaheim has beaten this team. And now this is probably the best Anaheim team of the bunch, and maybe the worst Boston team of the bunch. So I still like Anaheim, even with Mrazek, minus 105. I've split it with team total, over 3, minus 115 with Anaheim. So Anaheim team total over 3, minus 115. Anaheim money line, minus 105. And obviously we have to bet the over by Fecta here with these 2 goalies, and I have. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, Boston.
Yeah, I like that Anaheim team total a little bit more than the money line. Like this has been kind of a tight back and forth series, and so I grabbed that 3, like I said, minus 115 in MGM. I also think this could be, like I said, it's been a tight series. We've seen overtimes in 3 of the last 5 meetings. I like the draw here. I grabbed Troy Terry to get the overtime winner at 80-1. But this is one where, I'll be looking kind of for stuff things live. I think this could be back and forth where you bet on one spot, to score, then fade and go the other team next to score. So I'll be looking for that zigzag pattern maybe. Like I said, Boston, has been showing some spirit at home, but Anaheim, like I said, playing well defensively. Can that hold up with Mrazek? Because Mrazek's numbers against Boston aren't as good as they were against, say, Nashville, where I didn't mind backing Anaheim in that spot here. If I like Anaheim, I'd be leaning more toward team total than money line because this could be close.
Yeah, 3 goal props for Anaheim. Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson. They both scored in the last game. And I admit my timing's been off on this kid. Every time I've bet a goal prop, I think he's not scored. And every time I haven't bet him to score, he has scored. Hopefully we get the timing right tonight with our guy Beckett Seneca here for the Anaheim Ducks. We're going to take a shot once again with him, plus 310. I like Zacha and Geekie on the Boston side. I think both of those guys could have a chance to find the back of the net. Zacha finally got off the schneid, got a goal against Florida, plus 330 to find the back of the net tonight. So I think there's some decent value there with Zacha coming into this game tonight. All right, Vancouver and Nashville. We've got pretty much even money here, minus 110, both sides. The total here, 5.5, pretty much across the board in this game. Nashville is starting to look to me, and I obviously I watched a good chunk of that Anaheim-Nashville game because Anaheim was my best bet Tuesday on the Ice Guys show, and the warning signs are out. The red alert is out again for poor Shea Walker, our good buddy, friend of the show down in Kentucky, and his Predators, because they look like mental midgets again. And here's how I come to that conclusion by watching that game against Anaheim. It was back and forth. You're playing okay, actually. It was a pretty even game. It was 2-2 at one point. Anaheim gets 2 quick ones late in the third. Bang, bang. 3-2, 4-2 toward the end of the second period. And they've got all the momentum. And they take a 4-2 lead going into the third period. From that moment on, Nashville shriveled. What I want to see from a team at home when they're already on a losing streak, when they're down 4-2 going into the third, I want to see pushback. I want to see you dictate the terms. I want to see you dictate the game. Nashville didn't do it. Nashville down 4-2 in the third period at home against Anaheim. You know what the fuck they did the other night? They proceeded to get outshot 7-2 in that third period. 2 shots. 2 freaking shots on goal in the third period at home, down 4-2 in that game to Anaheim. You explain to me how that's a team you want to put your money on right now. Brutal. And they're starting to look like last year's Nashville Predators team again. Slow of foot, terrible power play, garbage, stinks. Whatever words you want to use, that Nashville power play. It is horrific again, just like it was last year. 5-on-5, not enough. Defense is, starting to, again, make mistakes, give up odd man rushes, not cover well in their own zone. UC Saros has not been as good, but again, this is more so, I think, the defense. I think Saros actually has overall played better than he to start the year than last year. There's a lot of problems I've got. I mean, that's to me not a sign of optimism when I see that. You're down 4-2 at home. You've already lost a bunch of games in a row, and you have 2 shots on goal in the third period in a game you're trailing on home ice. That's terrible. I'm on Vancouver here. Awful tough loss to Pittsburgh the other night, 5-1. Credit to Shilovs. Played well against his old team. Vancouver trying to end this road trip on a winning note after they had won the few previously before the Pittsburgh game. They won the last time they were in Nashville. Vancouver minus 110. It's just an anti-Nashville sentiment for me right now. It's not pretty what I'm seeing from them, and they're starting to look like the Preds of last year again, which is not good for the folks down in Music City. Alex, what do you think here? Canucks, Predators.
Yeah, I guess you could call it dog and draw split, but it's pick 'em. So we'll go Canucks money line, but a little bit of the draw plus 330. Let's take a shot with Jake DeBrusk to get the winner in overtime. I'm seeing him at 75 or 80 to 1.
All right, there we go. That's a pretty good price, 80 to 1. So that's Jake DeBrusk there. That's the overtime and game-winning goal bet, right?
Correct. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And somebody was asking in the chat, how do I split those? On average, unless it's a player that I really like, say like bargain bin level goal scorer, I will go 90-10. So 90% of a unit on the draw, and then 10% toward that goal scorer.
No doubt. Connor Garland. I like the value with him playing with Elias Pettersson and Evander Kane. New look top line. It looks like for the Canucks, and you got him plus 250 in some spots to be able to find the back of the net. So don't mind looking in that direction as far as a prop on the Vancouver side. And we know with Garland, small in stature, but often plays big, no question. All right, Seattle and Winnipeg. We've got Winnipeg minus 220 is what it looks like here. Actually, it's upwards of minus 240 actually in some spots. So shop around. The total here sitting at 5.5 across the board in this one. I mean, if you're we're going to talk about this with Edmonton, and I think we already mentioned it with Edmonton, how they're at home for one game after a road trip tonight against Montreal, and then they're going back on the road again. How brutal that is. Schedule makers, they can't get their heads out of their asses, apparently. But nevertheless, this is another example of it. How do you put Seattle, a West Coast team, on the East Coast and changing time zones as well from the East time zone? Now it's only 1 hour going to the Central time zone. How do you make Seattle in this spot, this long 6-game road trip, put them in a spot where they have to play their 6th game in 10 nights and with travel and time zone change involved? How is 6th in 10 is what we're dealing with here for Seattle tonight. Terrible, brutal, tough as it gets. There's no question about that. Wow. And you wonder how you're seeing them struggle on this road trip right now, and it's not going to get any easier because Winnipeg, they put the friggin' anaconda grip on your neck the way they're defending right now, the way Connor Hellebuck is playing in net early in the season for the Winnipeg Jets. We've mentioned this ever since the loss in the first game of the season to the Dallas Stars. Winnipeg's won every game since then, and they have held every opponent in those victories to 2 goals or less. We have talked about that, and that's been a theme throughout the season. So you know what we're doing. We've been cashing on this now a few times in a row in spots where you like Winnipeg to win, and certainly I think that tonight, tough spot for Seattle at the end of this brutal road trip, 6th roadie in 10 nights, minus 220, no thank you. But Seattle team total under 2.5, minus 140. Yes, please. That is the approach here. So yes, team total under 2.5. minus 140 here for Seattle. Alex, what do you think? Kraken, Jets.
Now this is going to be smaller than usual, but I do like Jets money line parlayed with the under 6.5 at plus 130. The reason why it's a little bit small is because of, like you're saying, that scheduling spot with Seattle. If they're just completely gassed and have dead legs, maybe the Jets get the offense rolling, and then that under is a little bit.
And it could be like a 6-1 type of deal. True.
And it could be,
I worry about that a bit.
So that's the thing I worry about too. But if the Jets are playing their game, if it's an A+ game from them, they're going to want to shut Seattle down on defense and win this game like they've been winning 4-1, 3-1. So I will take a small piece of Jets tied with the under 6.5 plus 130.
No, Perlo. It's Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck's confirmed, not Eric Comrie tonight for Winnipeg. So just making sure that
it'd be a pass Detroit, if it was a counter side.
Oh yeah. So I wouldn't be on. I definitely would not be on Seattle team total. Although the Jets are good defensively, but no, Hellebuck's part of the reason. They're keeping teams to 2 or less early in the season. So, and like I said, regular season Hellebuck is fine, no issues. It's always the playoffs when it comes to him. Jonathan Davis, I do want to highlight the comment here about Detroit's back-to-back statistics: 3-8. Actually, 3-8 on the front end of a back-to-back, on front and back end of back-to-back. So the record for Detroit in either the first game of the back-to-back or the second game of the back-to-back has not been good in recent games. That is true. All right, next up, we continue along here. We've got Utah, Mammoth, St. Louis Blues. St. Louis here, minus 120. Home favorites, 5.5 the total. In this game. What a homestand for Utah. And let's give this Mammoth team credit. They're playing well right now. I'm impressed. We see what they're doing, obviously, offensively. They're getting good enough goaltending at the moment as well from Karel Vejmelka. We project Karel Vejmelka to be the goaltender here tonight, although I don't believe it's been confirmed yet. It will be Joel Hofer getting the start here tonight for the St. Louis Blues. And I know the last time we saw Joel Hofer, we all saw him get shelled and have a real tough night against the Chicago Blackhawks. But let's not forget, he was playing pretty well last year. And his first start this year, he played well as well. So I don't want to just crucify the guy for one bad game. It was a horrible game. He was not sharp. The whole team was not sharp. There's a chance he's better here tonight in this game. And I'm impressed with Utah. And normally, I don't like going against the streaking team. When a team's on a win streak, I don't like to fade them. I like to either bet on them or pass. There are a couple things that do concern me here tonight for the Utah Mammoth. It was a 4-game homestand, but you have to admit, other than the win against Colorado, which was a great win in overtime, the other wins were San Jose, Calgary, Boston. Not exactly an impressive trio on that homestand before beating Colorado. Meanwhile, you have St. Louis coming off, and don't be fooled by the fact it was only a 2-1 loss to L.A. at home in overtime. Jim Montgomery was not impressed, and he's frustrated with the lack of consistency. That's why St. Louis is 3-3. He had a great quote after that game saying, "We're going to have to work all together. We're going to have to get this changed as far as the ups and downs. That's how you gain consistency, through communication, by holding players accountable, coaches holding players accountable, players holding coaches accountable. We're not getting the job done right now with our consistency, with effort and execution. We have to demand more of each other following that loss." And the one thing the Blues have done this year so far, despite one good game, one bad game, they've kind of had that pattern. They have not dropped consecutive games yet this year. They have yet to lose 2 in a row. So in this buy low spot, Utah kind of riding a high and going back on the road after a perfect homestand. I'm going to take St. Louis here in this spot, minus 120 to bounce back from a disappointing setback against the Kings on Monday night. And don't forget, Utah's only 1-2 on the road this year. They've played 3 road games, and they do have a losing record. So keep that in mind. Utah's been on a nice run all at home. 3 of those 4 home games were against weak sisters of the poor, right? Sharks, Flames, Bruins. I think they're going to catch the Blues tonight in an ornery mood and in a spot where they're dialed in and focused. And the price of this, not going to get the Blues as cheap as this on most nights. So St. Louis minus 120 for me. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's a cheap price on the Blues, and coming off of a kind of sluggish game against LA. Coming off of Joe Hofer coming off of that really bad start against Chicago at home. Think there should be some energy and momentum. Not so fast, my friend. Give me Utah here Plus
Oh,
100.
wow.
I think that momentum from home carries over on the road, and I think they get on all over home for tonight. So I like the Mammoth here, plus 100.
All right, Utah plus 100. Rare head-to-head on the show for Alex and I here. I like the over a little bit, too. I'm going to dabble in over 5.5. I think the Blues know, hey, one goal's not going to win us a hockey game. So I could see them maybe getting their offense going a bit more. And it is Hofer coming off, a game where he gave up 8. So while he's going to want to play better, I think he will play better. I don't think he's going to shut out Utah either. And Utah's, been able to find the back of the net. So 5.5, I'm going to get in on the over a little bit. Not a big bet, but I'm going to add that to the card with Hofer confirmed for the St. Louis Blues tonight. All right. As far as props, there are a couple. Obviously, look, for Utah, the obvious candidates are Gunther's been amazing. Cooley, any of those guys worth a shot here. By the way, Jack McBain day to day, so keep an eye on that. He may not go tonight. There are some lineup changes here for Jimmy Montgomery. Kyrou, Thomas, and Buchnevich, which has been a top line before for him and a good one. That's now your new look top line. Jimmy Snuggerud's kind of hit a wall the last couple games, hasn't played well. Montgomery demoting him to the third line with Suter and Joseph. Holloway with Shen and Neighbors on your second line. So I'm going to take a shot here with Holloway and Neighbors tonight to maybe get things going. If you're going to get out of your offensive funk, those are two good candidates to do so. All right, next up, we've got L.A. and Dallas. Dallas, minus 145, home favorites, 5.5, the total in this game. I'm taking Dallas here, -1. It's just the anti-LA in me to do that. Although I'm not making this best bet material, but, Dallas has won 2 in a row at home against the Kings. The Kings, they played a little bit better against St. Louis, but let's not kid ourselves. If St. Louis stays out of the box late in that game and in overtime, maybe the Kings don't win that game. They got an overtime power play, and they were able to make good on it. But it's still a team that's not playing great. They found a way to win against St. Louis. I don't trust them again. Dallas now, here's the thing with Dallas. I am concerned. This is now 3 games in a row they've lost: Vancouver, St. Louis, and Columbus. And the Columbus game was the worst of all. They played a pretty good second period, and they were zombies in the first period. Zombies again in the third period on home ice against Columbus the other night in that 5-1 loss. And there are injuries. They do miss Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene was their leading scorer in the regular season last year, and he's out. But still, this is a team that you look at the lineup. There still should be enough offense to go around when you look at, Hintz and Rantanen, who've kind of cooled off last couple games, Robertson, Johnston, and Maverick Bourque. With all due respect to Colin Blackwell, hardworking player, great skater. You don't want him to be your only goal scorer like he was the other night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But like I said, they need more from the top guns, really, Dallas, all of a sudden here these last few games. So, like I said, I'm anti-LA. I'm convinced that if Dallas had not lost 3 in a row, let's rewind this to a week ago, and Dallas was playing LA with Dallas on that great winning run, I'm guarantee you Dallas would be closer to -170 or -180 in this game, not -140, -145. So I will take Dallas here, -145, and maybe split it with team total over 3.5. Alex, King Stars.
Well, since the Robinsons are here, I can say fuck this game because we know we're both permanently annoyed with LA, right? Or at least indefinitely annoyed with LA. But I'm even more so annoyed with Dallas.
Yeah,
in the last couple of games where they should have been just primed in a spot to just blow out their opponent and then lay complete eggs. I want nothing to do with this game. It's a pass.
Yeah. You might be making the better decision than me, but like I said, it feels like circle the wagons to me for Dallas.
Yeah, it felt like that for Columbus too.
Should have been that night too. No wonder you're concerned, and I agree. That was supposed to be the night where you step up after Vancouver and St. Louis. What happened, and it didn't happen. So that's a bit of a concern here. I will say this: even though I like Dallas, he finally scored up on that. And I don't understand why he's a top line center, but to his credit, he did score for LA against St. Louis in that spot, Alex Laferriere, and you're getting a pretty good price, almost plus 500 in some spots. So do think that might be worth a look here. All right, Montreal and Edmonton. Montreal, best bet winner for me last night with their 2-1 overtime win. They'll look to follow that up here tonight against Edmonton on a back-to-back. Edmonton -230, home favorites, total 6 here in this game. It's not the greatest spot for Montreal. Obviously, it never is when you're on a back-to-back. There's worries that you have. And obviously, Samuel Montembeault is going to be in net, and he has been the inferior of the two Montreal netminders this year compared to Jakob Dobish. No question about that. But let's not act like this is a great spot for Edmonton. They had a long road trip. They've salvaged the last game of that trip, a win in overtime against Ottawa, and they come home for this one-game stopover at Rogers Place in Edmonton, and now they're back on the road again after tonight. Terrible schedule making. Can't believe that it was one of these deals that the schedule makers was one game after a long Eastern road trip and then back on the road again is just someone should lose their job for scheduling it like that for a team. But nevertheless, like I said, it's just remarkable. So it's not a great spot for Edmonton. Edmonton is not playing their best either. McDavid and Draisaitl have been grumbling in the media about how they need to step up and the offense is not clicking. This could be the night, though. You're back home. Montreal's sloppy and maybe a little fatigued, maybe a little bit as well defensively. And they had to defend hard last night because to Calgary's credit, even though they suck right now, Calgary played hard. Calgary outplayed Montreal at times last night, and that was a hard bring it home to the finish line defensive effort from Montreal last night, and that exerted a lot of energy. And now if the legs aren't there and Edmonton can that's when Edmonton can pounce with two of the best players in the sport like Draisaitl and McDavid, when you're tired and you're making some mistakes. And again, Montembeault has been worse in net so far this year than Dobish. So I'm going to go over here 6 in this game. I just think it's an over spot. Edmonton can get their offense kind of going back on track, and I think Montreal can chip in offensively as well because there's no issues offensively with the Habs. They have certainly looked good at that end of the ice. Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Demidov, what a setup to Matheson for the overtime winner. I'm also going to take, though, Montreal. I don't know what it is, but I'm on 2 + 1.5 puck lines tonight, and I'm going to take Montreal + 1.5. I know they're the team on the back-to-back, but are we trusting Edmonton to win by big margins right now? Again, Montreal just keeps finding ways night in and night out. So I'm going to dabble, too, in the money line, but like with the Chicago game, primarily more so on the puck line here with the + 1.5. You can get that at -130 here with Montreal and full game over as well. Alex, what do you think here? Canadians, Oilers?
Yeah, I'd lean with that puck line, the + 1.5, and I think that's a good play because I like the draw. I grab +350 here. I do not have a game-winning goal scorer prop because I don't know who's, like I said, these are two teams that are so dangerous in overtime. You have McDavid and Draisaitl. You have Caulfield. You've got a lot of guys who can put the puck in the net. So I just have strictly the draw in this spot. But I am going to go with 60-minute correct score, 3-3 tie at +13-1.
I'm adding that draw because I'm just looking at it now. Montreal overtime last night, Edmonton overtime in their last game against Ottawa, and 3 of the last 4 head-to-head meetings have gone past regulation with Canadians and Oilers. So I'm on that too. I'm adding that. That's a good draw spot. Everything lines up. Current form, history in the series that we've seen a lot of overtimes. So, yeah, I'm on the draw too, Montreal and Edmonton. All right, we wrap it up with maybe the game of the night, Carolina and Colorado. We've got 2 of the best teams in their respective conferences. We've got Colorado -130 home favorites total here, sitting at depending on the book 5.5, 6. So shop around as far as the total here in this Carolina Colorado game. I'm going to go with over by Fecta in this game, Hurricanes and Avalanche, more so to the full game over in this one because 4 meetings in a row, Canes versus Avalanche, both in Carolina and both in Colorado the last 2 years, and they've all gone over the total in the full game. 4-0 to the over full game the last 4 meetings, 3-1 to the first period over. There was one of the 2 games in Colorado the last 2 years between these teams stayed under in the first period. But 3 of the last 4 meetings, first period overs hit. Each of the last 4 meetings, the full game over has hit between the Hurricanes and the Avs. And I've said this all along about the absence of Slavin. And Gostisbehere may not suit up tonight either again for Carolina. But without Slavin, you're finally going to see the defense start to erode a little bit when you play better teams. We saw it against Vegas, right? They gave up 4 goals. They gave up the 2 goals in the first period of that game against the Golden Knights. This is when you start to say, wow, I guess we do kind of miss that guy who blocks a million shots, who's your best penalty killer by far, who plays in all pertinent situations and all critical situations. during a hockey game. This is really where you miss him. And we saw that against Vegas with Carolina losing their first game of the season to the Golden Knights. That's the time where you recognize it. You realize it. Oh, man, wish we had Jacob Slavin on that blue line here tonight. And that's no disrespect to Miller and Walker and Chatfield and Nikishin, Riley, the rest of them. But you just can't fill the role and the minutes that Jacob Slavin plays on that blue line for Carolina. And we finally saw the defense, like I said, stumble a bit against Vegas. And it's not going to get any easier here because we know Colorado, especially at home, can put the puck in the net. So I think Colorado, will be able to have some offensive success. But Carolina, we talked about it, how good their offense has been. Not so much against Vegas. They only got, obviously, the one goal in that 4-1 loss. But even with that loss to Vegas, this is still a team that's third in the league right now, or tied for second, rather, in scoring with New Jersey, 4 goals per game. And I could see them bouncing back offensively. Carolina's normally been a team under Brind'Amour where when they've slowed down one game, they bounce back the next. I also want to mention, too, with this Carolina-Colorado game that Scott Wedgwood confirmed in net. No confirmation yet, but projections are Freddie Anderson for Carolina. Here's the thing about Wedgwood. We've marveled about how well he's played, and he has. He's given Colorado yeoman's work in between the pipes with Mackenzie Blackwood's sideline for Jared Bednar's crew. No question. But more games under his belt now, more opportunity to dissect tendencies and weaknesses by opposition, and you wonder if he's going to keep this level of play going indefinitely. And we saw Utah beat him the other night, 4 goals in that 4-3 overtime win against Scott Wedgwood in Colorado. I think as he plays more games, the opposition may start to have more success and more idea of, hey, how do we get to this guy? Maybe he's going to keep playing well, but like I said, just a theory of mine that the more times, other teams see him play, they're going to have a better idea of maybe how to beat him. So bottom line is nothing on the side here for me, but I like goals early and often. So over by Fecta here for me, Carolina, Colorado. Again, 4 straight full game overs, and 3 of the last 4 first period overs have hit head-to-head with Canes versus Avs. Alex, what do you think here? Carolina, Colorado.
You mean Whalers versus Nordiques tonight?
Yeah,
because they'll be rocking those fantastic uniforms. I cannot wait to watch this game. It will be visually stunning, if nothing else. But I do think it is, and they look beautiful. I would certainly have to get a Nordiques jersey added to my rotation, but once they're back in stock, of course. That's been a disaster. But I like the over by Fecta here as well. Minus $1.25 for everything. Minus 25 for over 1.5. Minus 125 for over 5.5. And I'm not waiting around for plus prices. I want to get these early. I think we can see the fireworks early in this game.
Yeah, that's going to be a good 9 o'clock slate tonight in the NHL. The late slate. Well, there's no real late games. The latest games are those 9 Eastern, 8 Central games. But LA Dallas, solid game. Montreal Edmonton, pretty interesting game. And it goes without saying, Carolina Colorado, really interesting game, really good game. So, and there's a reason to watch right there. The Nordique jerseys and the Whalers jerseys, iconic jerseys, no doubt. Yeah, Nate just moving to the country, gonna meet me, Marty. Nate just, wouldn't talk anyone out of that. Obviously, he's facing his old team, be amped up to face his former mates, no doubt. I think he's done it already, though, but nevertheless, and he scored in back-to-back games for the Avalanche. Aho Drury, too, former Hurricane. If you buy into I'm going to buy in tonight. Jack Drury, former Hurricane. He was involved in that deal. Plus 1,000, 10-1 for Jack Drury to find the back of the net here tonight for the Colorado Avalanche here against his old team. So, like I said, I think that's probably worth a shot here as well. In this game. Let's see. It looks like he's going to be on the third line, which he often is. So, yeah, I'm going to dabble in that. We've got Connor Brown. We've had a couple of these so far this year where it's worked out, but plus 1,000. Jack Drury, well, worth the sprinkle because it seems like in these spots it's crazy how often, the former player can strike and find the back of the net. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. How about that? That's what you call a blistering pace to the Thursday edition of the Ice Guys show. 50 minutes through all those games, and it had to be that way because we got to basically get the hell on out of here in about 5 minutes. So appreciate it very much. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already, and check out wizardsportspicks.com. I'm excited to promote wizardsportspicks.com today because I went 5-0 with the premium picks last night. So a great Wednesday night. We had the what do we have? We had as far as the NHL, we had Montreal. That was the only NHL one, but we had 3-0 sweep in NBA. Raptors,
Nice.
Sixers, Celtics over. Suns, Kings over, and then we had the winner in college football with Delaware, Middle Tennessee over. So it was a
Nice.
great night as far as picks there. 5-0 premium sweep. WizardSportsPicks.com. We got a 6-pack across all sports tonight. Check it out. Check out me, Alex, Matt Robinson, all the great handicappers at WizardSportsPicks.com, and check out Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Just $10 per month. Again, goalie charts, totals charts, bonus content, players suite shows, exclusive live betcast later this year, and of course the daily betting card every single day. Sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. The reception's been great. Keep on signing up. Keep on subscribing. If you haven't tried Patreon already, it's well worth it. We're going to have our first exclusive live betcast in November for our Patreon members, the daily card each and every day. So make sure you check it out. Just $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You've got 4 days left to save 25% off of orders that are $70 or more. So if you're looking at getting a cap, a hoodie, a t-shirt, maybe adding a mug in there, maybe adding a little stuffed doll for a family member, whatever it is, over $70, you can save 25%. Click on the redeem button at the homepage, add all your items to your cart, and that 25% will be taken at checkout as the order is $70 or more for the next 4 days. That's over at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, there he is. Matty Rob's in the chat. Yeah, he's on Fridays now with us for one of his days of the week because he's doing practice for Nevada, Reno there. Yeah, he'll be on tomorrow. He loves a lot of the picks. He says he's got a 3-pack at Wizard Sports Picks. Check him out. Give Rob some love and some support as well. He's got a 3-pack of NHL on the website as well. So make sure you would check that out. He'll be with us tomorrow on the Friday show. All right, bargain bin special of the night, best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Where the kings and queens shop.
All right, check it out. RoyalCannabisShop.com, 20% off. Promo code Ice Guys. Bargain bin special of the night. I'm starting to heat up. We're looking for our third consecutive night with a bargain bin special winner, so the pressure's on. But first, start with Alex, as always, bargain bin special.
Yeah, I need the cash one this week. So let's go to Tampa Bay and Chicago. Guy who's been heating up himself, moving up to the top line, Lukas Reichel. Plus 600 anytime goal scorer for the Chicago Blackhawks. I think Hawks going to have a good game tonight against those Bolts. So Lukas Reichel, anytime goal scorer. That is my bargain bin special.
All right, there we go. Lukas Reichel for Alex B. Smith with the bargain bin special for this Thursday card. I'm going to go with 2 once again, which has been the norm of late, especially on a big card like this. I'm going to take a shot that I can hit lightning in a bottle twice with Emmett Finney. I'm going right back to him again tonight at plus 430. For the Detroit Red Wings. Like I said, he's been heating up. He's found chemistry with Larkin. And then I'm going to go to that big one I talked about in the late game, Carolina, Colorado. I'm taking that leap with Jack Drury for Colorado. Plus 1,000 against his old team, the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you go. Emmett Finney plus 430 for Detroit and Jack Drury for the Colorado Avalanche. plus 1,000, 10-1 for my 2 bargain bin specials for this Thursday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, go back to that Hawks and Bolts game, and like I said, this number is just super duper inflated. This is a good spot for the Hawks, but you don't have to bet them on the money line. Take the puck line, plus 1.5. Still get plus money in many books. I got plus 105. I saw it as high as plus $1.08. So we will go puck line with the Hawks. It's the best bet for tonight.
All right, there we go. Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 on the puck line for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet, let's go to that Carolina-Colorado game. Over 5.5, minus 130. 4 straight overs, full game between these two teams. And now no Slavin. I think this is where you start to see the defensive foundation, not crumble, but, struggle just a little bit. And I think Carolina, after only potting 1 goal against Vegas the other night, they stepped things up offensively here tonight as well, and we get to that 6 mark in Denver. So Carolina, Colorado, over 5.5, minus 130 for my best bet here for this Thursday card. That's a wrap. It's one of the quickest shows we'll do, especially for a big slate like this. Great stuff. A shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we are back Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.